I'm going to get conspiratorial, I think there might have been an organized effort to try to get you out of there. I'm just saying, there's a powerful man in media that's attacking pedophiles and making it really cool to get pedophiles the fuck out of here. No tolerance for these pedophiles. Meanwhile, you got an international pedophile ring bubbling up with your boy Jeffrey Epstein. He might have felt like you were hot on his tail.
Well, you know, there's an interesting story there. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
In about 2015-16, I had a meeting down in Florida with a group of investigators and some lawyers who were all involved in the Epstein case.
Let's go.
So there was a lot of information there. And Epstein had served his year in and out of the county jail and was back living his life. And the information was compelling and it was disturbing. And I tried to fashion a sting. And the security around his New York residence and around his life in general was such that it was difficult to penetrate and to figure out a way to do it. And I worked with some of the lawyers. It was before a lot of the victims had actually come forward, victims who have now come forward. And to be honest with you, it's one of my biggest journalistic regrets because we worked it. It wasn't happening. I got busy with other stuff. Right? In the meantime, here in Miami, much to the paper's credit, the Herald keeps pounding away and digging away at it, chipping away, day by day, week by week. And the Herald develops relationships with these victims, and ultimately the victims come forward and tell their story in the Herald. And there's no question, and the U.S. attorney in Manhattan at the time said this when they charged Epstein, that if it wasn't for the Miami Herald's fine work, that case may not have been prosecuted, at least not when it was. So the lesson to me is that sometimes these things take years. They're not the automatic sting operations that you want them to be, and you have to stick with it.
Can you
for a long period
tell us a little bit about the sting that you were setting up?
We were in the initial stages, working with a number of people who were, on the periphery of this investigation, of seeing if we could put somebody in proximity who would be recruited and then go into the Epstein system wearing hidden cameras.
Bro, it never got event.
It never got that far. But you think today, knowing what we know, having heard from these brave victims who came forward to make this prosecution, knowing what we know about the recruitment and the enablers, Ghislaine Maxwell, et cetera. What happened? And so when I first got wind of the Peter Nygard story.
Peter Nygard was...
He's the topic of the new series on Discovery Plus, Unseemly. He's the fashion mogul who now is accused of human trafficking and all kinds of sexual assaults going back some 50 years.
Whoa.
He had Nygard fashion. So every pair of jeans that you would see at a Dillard's and many other places, that was Nygard.
Wish I knew.
Close to a billionaire, right? He had a major estate in the Bahamas, and it was right next to another estate owned by a hedge fund guy, and they got into a beef over property, and one thing led to another, and the investigators from the hedge fund, Louis Bacon, got involved and started digging around in Nygard's business and found out that he was, taking in young girls underage, drugging them, raping them. I mean, we're talking about potentially thousands of victims across the board. This happened in LA, it happened up in Canada, it happened in the Bahamas. And for 2 years, I worked it, and then partnered with, Blackfin TV and Discovery Plus, and we were able to put this together. And not only was he involved in the sexual assaults, I mean, brutal, vicious, controlling sexual assaults, but he was into this stem cell research as an effort to find the fountain of youth. Right? And so he would go, according to witnesses and investigators, he went so far as to impregnate young girls, have them get abortions, harvest the stem cells from the fetuses to inject into himself to prolong his life. Now,
is he alive still?
He's in jail up in Winnipeg.
But is he living longer? I'm not saying...
He's 79, and I'm told that, because he's not been able to get bail, which is good, and he's awaiting extradition to the United States, indicted in Manhattan by the U.S. Attorney's Office there after a long investigation by the Human Trafficking Task Force in New York. He's not able to get all his supplements and his injections and hormones.
So he's just wilting.
Withering away.
Love it.
Yeah.
But it is fascinating because you always hear this on like these conspiracy chats, people talking about the elites drinking baby blood and like sacrificing babies and that kind of stuff. But maybe that's referential to the stem cell.
Well, in this case it was. And you know, in other words, we started to get more and more information. One of his own children came forward. Nygaard's son, Kai Zen Bickel, who is interviewed in the documentary, you'll see it on Discovery Plus, and who has been on some of my shows on YouTube and some other things, who saw something and that was inappropriate between his father and a child at a dinner party, and started thinking. He got involved, and not only did he help investigators in this case, but he was actually interviewed for the documentary, which was a huge step. And very brave. But it takes... When we commissioned the story, we didn't know that Kai was going to come forward. We didn't know that another source of mine would say, hey, look, talk to this lawyer. He represents the former videographer and creative director for Nygaard, who had hundreds of hours of videotapes on the private jet with the stripper pole and the pamper parties, and then going over to Asia.
Pamper parties?
Pamper parties. He used to have these huge parties in L.A. and in the Bahamas where he'd invite all kinds of women.
Okay.
And they would get, their nails done and massages and makeup, and some of these girls would get chosen, drugged, and taken away and raped. In fact, one of the models interviewed in the documentary.
Pamper, like they were getting pampered.
Yeah, you thought they were putting diapers on.
I thought they were walking around with Pampers.
Yeah.
No.
No, that's what I thought too.
Oh.
Well, I could see what you think that.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
So, but one of the victims in this case is the famous supermodel Beverly Peel, who was signed a contract with Nygaard for 3 years, and she is interviewed in the documentary and said, it was the worst decision she ever made, and ultimately was sexually assaulted by him and had a child by him.
Whoa!
And a whole drum. Yeah. So check it out. It's called Unseemly.
And this is your show on Discovery Plus.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I feel like unseemly isn't really a strong enough adjective.
Yeah, we hit a little stronger.
Well, it's a play on the...
I got you.
Seam because of...
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah, just get right to Predator.
Yeah,
you hit it on the nose on the other ones. I think we just hit it on the nose.
Absolute rapist. That's another title.
Yeah,
if you could spell absolute without the E, like a liquor, that's, maybe he's Russian, I don't know.
Yeah, dude. That is absolutely crazy. Yeah, if you look at what he looks like, it is...
And so a year ago, literally last week...
He looks like Mel Blanc on drugs, whatever his name, Mel Brooks, whatever.
Mel Brooks.
Yeah, he doesn't look young at all.
The Laker games, who's always wearing a cowboy hat. Jimmy Goldstein. Yeah, look at this guy.
Nothing about him looks young.
Who's the chick to the left with the heavy? Oh, is that the Beverly?
That's the...
Oh, my bad.
Come on, dog.
Yeah, my bad. I didn't know.
So literally, it was like a year ago last week that we got back from the Bahamas interviewing all these victims in this case, and it was just a gut-wrenching experience. Notwithstanding the fact that it was a little edgy because he had paid off a lot of government officials in the Bahamas to get away with this stuff. So we're smuggling these women in and out of this safe house where we're doing the interviews, and we came back, I believe it was March 5th, and it was right before the lockdown happened. I mean, literally, it was the last trip I made for several weeks, months, because of the pandemic. And I remember coming back through Miami, and we had added a couple days to it and turned it into like a little bit of a spring break because it was staying down in the Bahamas. And it was just eerie coming back through Miami. You could tell that people were starting to get uneasy about travel. And we got back to Michigan and didn't move didn't leave there for...
Did you know beforehand this is probably the last set of interviews we got to do, so let's get everyone?
It was because
I think we all remember
the last set of international. I mean, we just did things remotely, and as things opened up, we started getting back to work on it. But literally, because I was at our house in Michigan, we just had ordering television equipment from Amazon or wherever to do the YouTube show, to do this or that. And, then, the kids got tired of having me at the dining room table because I was doing 2 shows a week. So I'd move him to the basement.
Yeah.
Now we had to get more stuff in the basement so we could light that up properly. And so
now
we just adapted.
You said that you were setting up this sting for Epstein, and then you got busy with other things and it was hard to do. Was there any pushback from the people at the networks? Did you feel there was anybody protecting him at all?
No. it really didn't get that far, but I don't think there would have been anybody protecting him. We would have had support for it.
Yeah. Because in the past, there has been.
Yeah, but I got to be honest with you. I have never in 40 years had anybody seriously tell me to back off a story.